Hey everybody, it's Matt from the Britical Saiyans here, and today I'm going to show you my Frieza deck profile from the Clash of Fate. So obviously this is the red Frieza. So this leader is absolutely amazing, I feel. He's actually great. Self-Awakening, which is always fantastic, because the Self-Awakening for this is you activate main once per turn, you add a card from your life to your hand, look at the top 2 cards on your deck, choose one red Frieza's army, add it to your hand, and then the other one goes to the bottom. It's a shame the other one goes to the bottom, because sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I might have needed that card, you know, a bit sooner in the game or a little bit later in the game, where it's like, so in my case I had a couple of negates in the game that went to the bottom, and it's like, damn it. Or if you don't see a target, that's also a problem, but that's just, you know, what comes with the deck. I mean, you can run a small yellow, then you're going to have Cold Bloodlust and Avenging Frieza if you want to shuffle the deck. But I didn't go that route with it. Believe it or not, I did actually have Cold Bloodlust and Avenging Frieza in my side deck though. Just never sided them in at the tournament for some unknown reason. It never really... It was a struggle to side out for it, because I'd be taking out a lot of my negates. I didn't really think the side deck through fully, because obviously I know a lot of things, they just basically side deck 4 Cold Bloodlust, 4 Roshi, but I went and did something completely different. I really should have thought the side deck a bit more thoroughly, but it's fine anyway. So Self-Awakening, and then Frieza Awakening is you get 1 energy back and draw a card. I personally would prefer him as a 2 energy back Awakener, but I think I'm just getting greedy there, because I prefer those Awakenings, because it just helps so much more. And now we've got the Awaken side of your leader. So it's standard auto attack, draw a card, and then he's going to activate main. If once per turn you choose 1 red Frieza's army card in your battle area, KO it, then you choose 1 card in your hand, place it in drop area, and then he gains 5k for the duration of your turn and the duration of your opponent's turn. So if you can pull this off consistently without losing out too much, it's much more difficult for your opponent. So this is why I like the leader. Such a fun leader to play. Okay, so on to the main deck now, and we'll go into the extra cards. So for me, it was 1 Paralysis Technique, and then 3 Whis' Corrosion as my negates the deck. Yeah, I could have gone 4 Whis, but I wanted Paralysis Technique in the deck in some form or way. If I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. So Whis, pay 1 blue, negate the attack, and then get 1 energy back. Paralysis Technique is you need basically this leader, because it says you need a red Frieza's army leader. I think it's red. Yeah, it is. Yeah, red Frieza's army leader. You choose up to 1 of your opponent's leader cards and all their battle cards, and they get -5k for the duration of the turn. I could have put more of these in the main deck and not bothered with the blue, but I felt like the blue was just more beneficial for me. So yeah, but honestly, it's great for that minusing of the board. So anything that doesn't have barrier, it's just great. And if your opponent, it's like Flying Nimbus situation. If your opponent swings at their leader first, and you're like, okay, well, negate it. It doesn't matter if the leader gets -5k, because that one's negated, but the rest of your board's minused. So that's why I chose to go with that. And then we got 4 Senzu Bean for mainly the defense for this deck. Because of the way Frieza works with the swapping, it doesn't cost as much energy, so you don't really need to use Senzu Bean on the offense unless you're trying to really cripple your opponent that turn. It's mainly for the defense to make the leader the 25k during the opponent's turn. Or if you haven't pulled the effect off, to make it 20, so it's still a trouble for your opponent. And then I run, for the last of the extra cards, 2 Frieza Spaceship. I feel like this card's underrated for the deck. It should be used more often. I think in the actual mono red version it's definitely used, but it's a feel for the deck. And then it's an auto. At the end of your turn, you choose up to 1 red Frieza's army with an energy cost of 2. It has to be 2 from your hand. Play it, and if you do, draw a card. So you, as you saw, I was playing Dodoria, or like Zarban, or if you think that the 2-drop Frieza, like, so because it's going to be early game, if you see this on turn 2 and then you play the 2-drop Frieza to do the swap into the 3, because it's in active mode, your opponent can't really attack it unless you've got someone who can attack the active mode. Yeah, it loses its -5k still, so to do attack with someone who can attack active mode is a bit of a pain, but it's also a really good target for that. So if you run, well, so you'll be running 4 of that, then Zarbon and then Dodoria, there's plenty of targets for this card. And it also, because it draws a card, it replaces the card you play. But they're all great targets to come off of this card, so always bear that in mind. So on to the battle cards now. So for the 1-drops for the deck, because of what the format was, I went with 2 Kami and 2 Dende. So board clearing, and for any deck like, well, basically Gogeta, Gogeta Shenron, just to stop them with the energy ramping. So, and I was just worried about my opponent having a big board. So, granted, I didn't really get much utility out of any of these cards other than the drawer cards, and never really used their effects, but because my opponent either didn't have a big enough board, or my opponent wasn't using ejection. But there was also a problem with when my opponent was using objection, I never actually saw Dende, so it's just an unlucky time for me on that one. Which is okay, like, you know, it happens. You can't just see every card at every possible time you need it. And then to start off with the Frieza stuff, so we got 4 copies of Frieza Overture to battle. So it's 1 red, swap 2, so you can play it and then go into the swap 2. His auto is when you play him from hand, choose up to 1 red leader card, 1 red leader cards or red battle cards other than this card, and it gains 5k. So you pay 1, bring him out and make your leader 15, or if he's awakened, 20, or buff up one of your battle cards so they can swing for a little bit more pressure, or force an extra 5 up the hand, or just force your opponent to take it, however you look at it really. Get all of those, just, is that all of it? Yep, there we go, that's all of it. Right, this little pile here is the 2 costs for the deck. So you see what I mean about having the Frieza spaceship, like the majority of the deck costs 2. So to start off with, we've got the Champa 2.0, whatever you want to go with, Spring Kai. It's just for the double strike. Basically, just to add that little bit more double striking. I know the 5-drop already has double strike crit, but if you just want to have that extra double strike pressure, then it's good to have. The super combo for the deck, you kind of have to run this one because it's searchable off the leader effect, which is a searchable super combo is always fantastic. And if it activates if you've got 5 or less life. Yes. Cool. So there's that to bear in mind. So I don't know why you wouldn't use this leader. Super combo, unless you want to use the sparking one. But into the next part of the evolution chain or swap chain, whatever you want to go with. It's swap chain. I don't know why I said evolution chain. So you got the 2-drop Frieza. So he's swap free for 1 red energy. So that's what I mean. Like, you pay him off the Frieza's spaceship wherever it's gone. Then your opponent doesn't get round it. You can just pay, swing with it for 15 and then pay 1 to bring up the 3-drop. So great card. Obviously you need to run 4 of it. All the Frieza swap chain you need to run 4 of, and because of the way the deck's built, you do have the deck space for it. And then I go with 4 Dodoria. Now, is a 2-drop blocker that costs 2 red. Yeah, basically the majority of the deck costs 2 red. If not all the deck, basically. But he's great because he's a blocker, but then when he's KO'd, you can bring out a Frieza's army that costs 2 or less. So, yeah, when his card's KO'd, choose up to 1 card when you got less from your hand and play it. Frieza card. So it does have to be a Oh, right, okay, so I might have... Yeah, okay, I kind of messed up during the game a bit there. I shouldn't have brought out this with the Doria. That's my bad. For some reason I just thought it was Frieza's army, which makes sense, but no, it's Frieza card, so yeah, okay. But still, even then, it's still useful. And there's another target to play off Frieza's spaceship, basically. And then so, when this card is KO'd, you draw a card and then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and gains minus 15k. Okay, so that's my bad, guys. I kind of cheated a bit there with the Doria. So he literally can only bring out the Frieza swap chain, which is fine anyway, because you block with it and then bring out, yeah. So that's absolutely my bad, guys. So don't need to point that out in the comment section, because I've just realised myself. Oh man. I didn't do it at Euros, by the way, guys. The scenario never really came up. Okay. And then onto the free drops, I run 2 Deadly Defender Krillin. Not really need to explain him, but I will anyway. So he's got Barrier, and he's got during your opponent's turn he gains minus 5k, but they can only attack this, so same as every other Deadly Defender. And then Body Change Ginyu, I decided to go with 3 of this. Yeah, here the auto doesn't really matter, he's just there for me to try and take my opponent's bigger stuff. So all their things that got 20k or less, just so I can put some pressure on them. Usually what I want to try and do is, so it's quite funny, like, is I'll take their thing and then give them Ginyu, and then I use Zarbon to pop the Ginyu, so they don't keep a 15 on the board. And so I basically, if they've only got one thing, I'll clear their board and I plus. And then for last, the 3 drops, we just got the next card in the swap chain for Frieza. So he's got Barrier, which is great. Swap 2 to go into the 5 drop. So that's really cheap cost. And then when you play this card, doesn't have to be played off swap. You can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 20,000 power or less and KO it. So that's absolutely great for that. And then to end the Frieza swap chain, again, like I said earlier, you run 4 of each. So here's the 5 drop. He's really, really good. So we'll go into it. So it's got critical and double strike. So that's why I said earlier about the Chomper 2.0 doesn't really apply to him unless you want to give him an extra 10k. But his auto once per turn, this is really awkward with him because your opponent usually plays something to try and bait it out, and if you don't activate it, then you lose it for the turn because it's an auto that triggers straight off once per turn only. Which is a pain. I just wish it was a like once per turn ABC, or if A happens trigger this or what, but no, it's really awkward. So my opponents were playing around this, which is okay because it forces them to use their energy to play something else, but at the same time it's a bit of a pain, so I want to negate actual bigger problems. But it's so when your opponent declares to play a battle card or activate a skill to put a battle card into play, if your leader card is Red Frieza's army card, you may choose up to 1 card from your life, place it in your drop area, so you've got to crit yourself to do this. If you do, the battle card play with the skill is negated for a duration of turn. This skill cannot be this skill can be activated during the counter timer. So it's cobblerless on legs, it just makes it come out, so it's a vanilla in basic terms. And then to close off the deck, I obviously got the 1 copy of Frieza Army Reborn. You can only have 1 because it's an ultimate. He's got quad strike, so he's a really good finisher. Also, yeah, it's an 8 drop, but it's permanent. If you've got 2 or less life, he basically comes out for a 5 drop, so you just paid a 5 hard red for him, which is what I did in the game. And hopefully, well, I was thinking, hopefully I've got this, but no, Jonah had too many negates in hand. But then when you play this card, your opponent reveals their hand, and you choose up to 1 card from your opponent's hand and place it in a drop area. Then choose all your opponent's battle cards with 40k power or less, and ignoring Barrier and KO them. So it doesn't matter if they got Barrier because you just kill the board anyway. And then you just go 40 quad strike. They can't negate it because hopefully they've only got 1 negate in hand and you've got rid of it. And then you just chuck all the combo into this to kill them, depending on their hand size. But yeah, so there you go, guys. So that's my Frieza army swap deck. Again, sorry about the misplay during the game with Doria and Zarbon. I will learn things. There's too many card effects to try and just remember everything. But no, at Euros I really didn't mess up with that because it just never came up. But anyway, guys, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. And keep an eye out for Jonah's Vegeta Baby deck profile coming the next day. So see you guys.